What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. And now we've got some major issues in this country I'll talk about constantly, as a matter of fact. We've got spending problems in this country. Our government is currently sitting at a $1.8 trillion deficit with their budget. That means they're spending $1.8 trillion more than they take in revenue. That's absurd. That's outright ridiculous. We can't seem to get the spending under control, right? And the national debt has skyrocketed over the past few years. Just outright skyrocketed. And now, gross national debt reaches $36 trillion. Now, this is a prediction I made. However, I was a little bit off in my prediction. A few weeks ago, I covered another budget type of article, and I was looking at the national debt, and I was like, wow, this is nuts, y'all. It was like $35.8 trillion. I was like, I can guarantee you we'll hit $36 trillion before the end of the year. But I was thinking it was actually going to be like mid to late December when this happened. Not the end of November, mid-November. Like mid-late November. This is just getting crazy, y'all. Outright crazy. I've got this article from the Committee for a Responsible Budget, which, why do we even have this committee? Because these same people vote for the budgets, for the appropriations bills that come to their desk. As a matter of fact, they vote for these things. Last appropriations bill, there was only like 90 Republicans that voted against this. It just makes you think, what are these people doing? How could any of these people agree with $1.8 trillion deficit spending? It's got to make you think, is there something going on in their brain that makes them disconnected from the numbers, disconnected from reality? There's something in there that they agree to allow the federal government to spend $1.8 trillion more than what they took in. In other words, they're creating more debt with this. The same Congress voted to raise the debt ceiling, which that vote is coming up. That's going to be one of the first things for the 119th Congress to take care of, the debt ceiling. That's in January, as a matter of fact. The deadline for the last debt ceiling raising of the debt ceiling vote came in. Let's get into this, though. The gross national debt of the United States reached $36 trillion yesterday, just over 3 months since the previous milestone was reached at the end of July, according to the U.S. Treasury. The following is a statement from Maya McGuinness, president of the Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget. As if lawmakers needed any other reason to take America's fiscal health seriously, the gross national debt of the United States has now officially reached $36 trillion. We started 2024 by crossing the $34 trillion threshold and added another trillion during the summer, and now we're heading into the holidays with yet another trillion. Government borrowing is becoming as certain as the changing of the seasons these days. So we have raised the national debt by $2 trillion freaking dollars this year. Over $2 trillion. That is absurd outright. On its face, just anything, any of those you want to throw in there, it's just ridiculous that these people do this. These people are destroying this country, and it has all taken place under the Biden administration. I know. Trump raised the national debt by $7 trillion, but if you look at the numbers, the vast majority of that came during the pandemic. The vast majority. It's often said that more times you say a word over and over, the more it starts to lose its meaning. With so many trillion-dollar debt milestones in recent years, it's easy to forget that each of them has real-world consequences. But rising debt poses serious domestic and geopolitical risks. It slows our economy, threatens higher inflation and interest rates, and squeezes our budget through higher interest rates. It hampers our ability to be flexible in responding to recessions and disasters at home and foreign crises abroad. Yes, we noticed this with the 2 hurricanes that slammed into the United States this year. Oh, it just so happens the Department of Homeland Security, who is in charge of allocating the appropriations to FEMA, as a matter of fact, said they were running out of money. They didn't have enough money. Oh, and that turned into, it's disinformation. That's No, it wasn't disinformation. This is what the corporate press does with things like that. You'll hear a claim from Donald Trump, and it won't be perfect, right? It won't be exact word for word, but you get the point. And then the corporate press will come out and say, oh, debunked, he's lying, it's actually this. Yeah, we had that scandal this year with Donald Trump saying that FEMA was allocating money to subsidize criminal aliens for the most part, give them food because it's an emergency. But in reality, what it wasn't FEMA giving that money out. It wasn't from the FEMA coffers, put it that way. That money was allocated from other places, and FEMA was responsible for giving that money out. It wasn't from the FEMA coffers, in other words. But that's what the corporate press manipulated everybody, and that's what Donald Trump's point was, is FEMA's giving this money out. Oh, no, they're not. Well, technically they are, but it's coming from other places. But that's not the point. The point is, we're subsidizing criminal aliens, for crying out loud, which is absurd. And the future trajectory looks bleak as well. Even when using the more economically meaningful measure of debt held by the public, currently well over $28 trillion, debt is headed for an all-time record share of the economy in just 2 years. Interest payments are the fastest growing part of the budget and will cost $13 trillion over the next decade alone. The incoming Trump administration and members of the 119th Congress face several fiscal hurdles from the moment they take office, starting with the reinstatement of the debt ceiling in January and a $1.7 trillion pay-go scorecard waiting to greet them. The way they approached that and other crucial decisions ahead of the expiration of the discretionary spending caps and the 2017 tax cuts, as well as how they choose to offset the costs of their new policies, will determine our fiscal health for a long time. We hope they choose the responsible path forward. Now, what they were talking about with discretionary spending, that is pretty much everything that's not Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security. That's everything else. Those aren't discretionary. They have to pay that. We also have interest payments that we have to pay, which are upwards of almost $1 trillion. They're rivaling our national, our army budget, pretty much, the national defense budget. Yeah, which is $800 and something billion a year, which is absurd. Yeah, so we have a lot of insane, absurd, discretionary spending going on. All these programs, these social programs, and blah, 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 blah. All this subsidizing, a lot of that has got to go. I'm sorry to anybody that was looking forward to getting a grant from the federal government, blah, blah, blah. You're probably not going to be able to do that. They're probably going to cut a lot of that. Yes, because we've got to get our spending under control. We've got $1.8 trillion to cut the federal budget by, which is crazy, y'all. It's just outright crazy. The U.S. Department of the Treasury recently released its final monthly Treasury statement for fiscal year 2024, showing a $1.8 trillion deficit for the year. The actual FY 2024 deficit is $82 billion lower than the Congressional Budget Office projected in the June 2024 Budget and Economic Outlook. The official recorded deficit for the FY 2024 is $138 billion higher than the $1.7 trillion deficit in 2023. However, the 2023 deficit was artificially low because it deducted the cost of the proposed student debt cancellation, which was ruled unconstitutional, but they went ahead and did that anyway. That's another reason we are just on this insane spending path that they can't seem to get off of. After removing the effects of student debt cancellation, the deficit in 2023 was $2 trillion, or $195 billion higher than the 2024 deficit. As a share of the economy, the official deficit was 6.2% in 2023 and 6.4% in 2024. Deficits are now almost double the pre-pandemic deficit of $984 billion from FY 2019 and higher in nominal dollars that at any other time in history, with the exception of the pandemic-driven deficits of FY 2020 and FY 2021. That is right. So under Joe Biden, our deficits have doubled. Yes, have pretty much doubled. You know, you take 9.8 times 2. Yeah, that's pretty much where we're at. We're almost there. This is absurd, and this is why I'm so adamantly against the Biden administration, and why I constantly say it is like Joe Biden is walking through the White House. He's got this jacket full of grenades, and he's just walking, pulling a pin, throwing the grenade behind him, and just burning everything to the freaking ground as he leaves office. I mean, look what he's done over the recent couple of weeks. These people have rushed all these activists to get them on the federal circuit. He has allowed Ukraine to fire long-range missiles deep into Russian territory, which we weren't allowing them to do before. So why would you want to escalate this problem, right? Why would you not want to send negotiators? He has also opened the taps on the border again, right? Which proves outright that what I was saying and a lot of right-wing pundits were saying, oh, this is just for optics. The only reason he put those restrictions on criminal aliens coming across that southern border was for optics, for Kamala Harris to win. That was it. Soon as the election's over, he lifts these restrictions and just allows the floodgates to open right back up, knowing we've got caravans of thousands of migrants coming to this country. They're trying to rush to get here before the Trump administration, which is insane. These people, every single one of them, should be deported outright. They should be criminally investigated for trying to cross our border illegally, knowing we've got another administration coming in, and they're going to shut the border down. They're doing this on purpose. And Joe Biden should have been impeached for his border policies. It's just absurd, y'all. These people don't care about our country. I would love to go to every single person that voted against Donald Trump for Joe Biden and ask him, hey, how are you feeling about your decision to vote against Donald Trump? Yeah, I imagine a lot of people are feeling bad. A lot of people. Yes, these people are part of the problem now. Of course, there's no way they could have known that Joe Biden was going to come into office running as a moderate, take a hard left turn, and just go down this insane path that we've all been having to go down because of it. He's shown weakness on the world stage. He's shown ineptability as far as domestic policy. It's pretty much everything outright. He's just an inept, failed leader that will go down in history as the worst president the United States has ever seen. Ever. Outright. There's no sugarcoating this. There's no way to beat around the bush about it. He's the worst president we've ever seen. Just the hands down. Just look at everything he's done. From, the border to silencing voices on social media and everything in between. Geopolitics, everything. I can't believe the absurd levels of just breaking the law of the Biden administration has just done. It's just all been so crazy. And I'm rambling at this point, so I want y'all to let me know what y'all think about all this down in the comment section. Is this just not, disheartening, to say the least? That our debt seems to be going up and up and up and up, and the people that we vote for that should be fiscally responsible just don't seem to care. They don't care whatsoever. Y'all let me know what y'all think. That's all I got for this one. I want to thank everybody for watching, and y'all try to have a good day. Stay legitical. Peace.